Close your eyes for a second and picture the bridge of the Enterprise D, the soft hum of the engines. Captain Picard calmly saying, "Make it so." Data tilting his head in curiosity. It all felt so smooth, so futuristic, so perfectly controlled. But what if I told you that behind those glowing consoles and philosophical speeches was a production full of chaos, pressure, and bizarre secrets that almost no fan ever saw? Because the truth is, we're Star Trek. The Next Generation didn't just explore strange new worlds. It survived some very strange problems right here on Earth. Take Patrick Stewart, the man who became Captain Jean-Luc Picard. Today, he feels inseparable from the role. But when the show began in 1987, Stewart was convinced the series would fail almost immediately. In fact, he believed it so strongly that for 2 years, he refused to unpack his suitcase. Imagine that. On playing the captain of the most famous starship in television, while living as if you might be fired tomorrow. And the uniforms that looked so sleek on screen? They were torture devices. During the first seasons, the male cast wore extremely tight one-piece spandex suits designed to create a perfect futuristic silhouette. The problem was simple. They were several sizes too small. The pressure pulled actors' shoulders downward, causing real back injuries and spinal strain. Our doctors eventually warned the studio that permanent damage was possible. Only then did producers finally switch to the more comfortable uniforms in Season 3. The pressure didn't stop there. Marina Sirtis, who played Counselor Deanna Troi, faced intense scrutiny over her appearance. Early in the show, producers pushed her into extremely strict diets and revealing costumes, reducing a highly trained Starfleet officer into what often felt like decoration. She later admitted she lost 5 kilograms quickly just to meet expectations. It wasn't until Season 6, when Troi finally wore a standard Starfleet uniform, that the character began to be treated more seriously. Even the characters themselves almost looked very different. Brent Spiner's beloved android Data nearly wasn't played by him at all. Early casting ideas considered actors with large, imposing physiques to emphasize robotic strength. Eventually, producers realized a subtler performance might be more interesting. That decision changed everything. Spiner transformed Data into one of the most human characters in science fiction history. And some things we think of as iconic were born from pure accident. The terrifying Borg were originally planned as insect-like creatures with a hive mind. But the production budget couldn't support giant alien bugs. So the team improvised, using wires, recycled electronics, and costume pieces to create half-machine beings. Ironically, the cheaper idea became one of the most chilling villains ever imagined. Even the transporter effect was surprisingly simple. Instead of complex digital graphics, the crew filmed a glass container filled with water, glitter, and reflective particles. Drop in an Alka-Seltzer tablet, shine a light through it, and suddenly the swirling bubbles looked like matter dissolving into energy. Sometimes Hollywood magic is closer to a science fair experiment than advanced technology. Yet perhaps the strangest truth is this. Despite early writer revolts, costume disasters, and constant studio interference, the show endured. Over 7 seasons, it transformed from an uncertain reboot into one of the most respected science fiction series ever created. And maybe that's the real lesson hidden behind the Enterprise's polished control panels. Great stories don't come from perfect conditions. They come from imperfect people, improvising, struggling, and somehow still managing to boldly go where no one has gone before.